Having forks can be so infuriating. Do you have a dope 360 wave pattern, but you have these stubborn forks that just will not go anywhere and you don't know how to get rid of them? Stay tuned to this video. I got you covered. I'm gonna show you what you need to do. Let's get it.
I've been going crazy. Plug in, can't play me. Jesus done save me. Can't switch, won't sway me.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the Ninja Waver here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're talking forks. I don't know about you, but for me personally, forks can be so annoying and also very intimidating because you know that the current way you're brushing isn't getting the job done, so you have to change something up. But you're scared you might destroy your entire wave pattern in the process. But don't fret, that's why in today's video, I'm going to show you guys 3 easy strategies you can use to get rid of these forks for good. Now, before we hop into it, let me make this quick disclaimer. None of these 3 strategies I'm about to show you are going to break your forks instantly. This will take some time. I'm talking a few days, weeks, or even up to a month or 2. You have to be very consistent and very intentional with fixing these problem areas. But I can assure you that in the end, the time is well worth it. Let's hop right into it. The first type of fork is what I like to call a cluster fork, or a cluster of different forks. They pretty much look like forks that are sandwiched on top of each other. This is typically seen in the ripple stage. However, it can also be in the advanced wave stage as well when someone's trying to achieve the flawless wave pattern. The second type of fork, this fork is the most common type of fork that most wavers struggle with, and that is the crash fork, which is essentially when you have one wave that breaks off into 2 different waves going in 2 different directions. Now, when it comes to crashes, they can come in different sizes. You can have crashes that are very wide and obvious, or you can have crashes that are more minute and narrow. Nonetheless, this is the fork that most people can resonate with when they hear that term. And the third type of fork is known as a bending fork. Now, technically, this isn't really a fork because it's not exactly a crash in your waves. It's just more so when the wave barely connects to the other side, and it's just a very obvious and sometimes annoying bend in your waves. Now I'm going to show you 3 different methods you can use to help you fix each one of these different types of forks. Now keep in mind, you can use any one of these 3 upcoming methods I'm about to show you. However, it just may be that one of these methods may be better for a certain type of fork than another method, but they can all work. All right, let's hop right into it. All right, so I'm going to be using my waves as an example for this video to actually show you guys what you need to do. So the first method to breaking fork, and this is personally my favorite, but it is a lesser known method, and that is combing along the pattern of your waves. That is not the same thing as combing with the grain. This is literally combing along your wave pattern. Let me show you. Right, so these are what my waves are looking like here. So what I mean when I say comb along the pattern just means that instead of combing with the grain or against the grain, you're combing the direction of your waves. You're going, so if my waves are going this way, I'm combing along that pattern. Kind of like you're tracing the wave pattern. So where I would mainly use this technique is, like I said, either if you have a cluster of forks or if you have a situation like this right here where I have a wave that's kind of going down like this and it just needs a quick reset, right? So at this point, because I want my waves to go kind of flat here and go up, I would take this, don't you dare, and I would comb along the pattern just like this. Now, this is very important, and the reason why is because, as you can see, you can start seeing very faintly, you can see that there is more space being made between my waves. Essentially, it's teaching your waves to line up in a row when you comb it along that pattern. So you can kind of see the difference, and it also reveals the lower levels of your hair as well. And if I want, you can also comb in the opposite direction as well to see. But as you can see, that makes a huge part, and I don't like it, so usually I just comb this way. right? So doing this trains your hair to eventually line up with these rows that it's making. So when you brush it back down, your waves ultimately will get trained. The second method to breaking forks is known as vertical brushing. Now this is a much more known common fork breaking technique that you can use to better your waves. And essentially all vertical brushing is taking your brush, and instead of brushing horizontally like most people do, you take it and you brush vertically. Now I'm sure some of you are wondering how exactly this helps fix your problem areas. Well, essentially it prevents overlapping angles. Let me explain. So if I'll use my left side here, if I take this brush and brush it this way, right? That's one angle. But if I take it and then if I take it here, which is what most wavers do, and brush it this way, this section is the one that's being overlapped. When I'm brushing it this way, the angle is going this way. But then when I brush it towards the front, it's going to the right a little bit. So it's confusing the hair. But when you brush vertically, the bristles are a lot more narrow and they're more tailored, they're more detailed and narrowed on that specific area. This is what most wavers do to break their forks. And then the third method you guys can use to break forks is known as shifting your wave pattern. Now, this is the most intimidating method to use out of the three, and a method I myself have only really dabbled in. Essentially, all it means is taking your brush and brushing it at a completely opposite angle of where your wave pattern is. Let me show you. All right, so let's use this fork for example, right here, the one that comes down and it breaks off into two. Instead of brushing this way, shifting would mean I would take my brush and rotate it this way and then brush this way. Almost like it's along your pattern, but not exactly. It's kind of like in between the way you normally brush and the axis of your waves. It's kind of in between. You're just brushing at an angle. You're changing that angle up to essentially confuse your hair. So that way it'll lay back down. Now, when it comes to the shifting method, you do not want to do this indefinitely. You only want to do this long enough for your fork to be broken. That's it. Once it's connected, then you can go back to brushing how you normally brush. So that does it for the three strategies you guys can use to break those forks, get rid of them. Remember, any strategy will work for any type of fork, but you may want to consider which one works best depending on what fork area you have. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below. Salute to my wave troops. I'm out.